idea of possession, that we actually have things or things belong to us, is also elusive. Our stay here is probationary, learning and perfecting ourselves through the ages in the school of life for final initiation into complete knowledge of the oneness of all life or our divinity. So this is the purpose of life. Life itself then, daily and hourly, teaches us that nothing is permanent, everything changes, and we ought not to cling to those things. Mr. Judge again puts it this way: remember this, that you own not one thing in the world. Your wife is a gift, your children are loaned to you. All else is given to you only while you use it wisely. Your body is not yours, for nature claims it as her property. Do you not think, O man, that it is the height of arrogance for you to sit in judgment upon any other created thing, while you, a beggar, are going about in a borrowed road? These are very profound statements, and perhaps some feel offense at it, but we need to understand where he's coming from. So then, stagnant waters, what does it do? It petrifies. But he says the water that flows gives nourishment. And he says our belongings, the things that are put in our way, to use beneficently for the purpose of disseminating it to those who have less than we do. He says our possessions then ought to benefit others. To give is to retain. To withhold is to lose. And he shows in the Bhavagad-Gita that when we renounce all self-concern from our minds and hearts while carrying out the duties of life, placing entire reliance on the higher self and karma, and what are those? Higher self, equivalent to truth, and what is the other? Justice. This is also inherent in nature. Karma is justice. Then he says we become dispersal of enormous riches. And he writes it this way: in every effort you make to lighten another mind and open it to truth, you will help yourself. Those pearls you found for another and gave it to him, you really retain for yourself in the act of benevolence. For when one lives thus to help others, he is thereby putting into practice the rule to try and kill out all sense of separateness, and thus gain little by little in possession of true light. So this is the prescribed 3. Now, charity is all on its own, and I'm not quite sure we have time to go into it today. Page 52, HPB writes, and this is the devotee. He says, "Yea, Lord, I see the path, its foot in mire, its summit lost in glorious light nirvanic, and now I see the ever-narrowing portals on the hard and thorny way to jnana." Jnana is wisdom. It's becoming one with the inner life. "Thou seest well, Lanu," says the master, Lanu being the student. "These portals lead the aspirant across the waters onto the other shores, other shore of knowledge, freedom from that body. Each portal has a golden key that opens its gate, and these keys are," and she lists 7. The first one of those is Dana or Dana, the key of charity and love immortal. It's the first one, and it is obligatory that we conduct ourselves in that manner. And I'm being told that my time is up. However, I will say this. Mr. Judge again says, if this is lacking, then we are not following the path of the great ones that come and show us the way, and we're not putting universal brotherhood in action in daily life. But we will continue on with this concept a little bit in the next talk that is related to this one. Thank you. And now we open it to questions.
What's the theosophical definition of illusion? Is it the same as
Maya?
dictionary definition?
The dictionary definition is I don't know what the dictionary definition is. What I should say, Herb should read it for us. But this illusion comes from the belief of separateness, because we're believing in all of the lower aspects of our daily lives, the things that come and go. But that is not real from the perspective of the one self, which is our spiritual inner self. That's the real, because that's the part, I think she does this. This is the higher triad, Atma, the spirit, Buddhi, the spiritual discernment, and this is Manas, the higher part of that mind, which is the spiritual, go from life to life. The body drops, but that part of us is the permanent, and it is part of the self. It goes from life to life to life until the personality becomes aware of these inner aspects, and then the higher self throws its lot, shows the way, and through that personality becoming part of that higher self serving its purpose while on earth, in other words, we have become one with it, we serve humanity, we walk with our comrades, we are one with them, but we are not of the world, because we are following a different inner path, but externally it is no different than from everybody else. That's why we can never tell who the perfected ones are. Okay, Herb, please give us the definition.
The definition in Webster is very long, but the key here is these few words right here, giving the impression of reality, a false impression of reality, which is what we are faced with every day. Because what we are trying to cling to in our day-to-day life is not real. The speaker is talking about what's real. So if you want to talk about it a little bit more.
Let me just read it from here. Something that deceives by producing a false or misleading impression of reality. And we said that in this case, reality is the inner, the spiritual aspect of us. Does that help?
Can you explain mortification? What does that mean?
Yes. Mortification, tapas. And we said what Mr. Judge said. He said the basis of life is to understand the unity of all life. That this unity, which is called in each human being Ishvara or Krishna is the other name that the Hindus give it, is one. It comes from the same essence, the same source. I didn't want to take that off, but anyway. Service to humanity or charity. Dana. Okay, so this self is the self of all. On the inner lines of our being, we are this divinity. How is this represented? The spirit, the spiritual soul, and mind. It's equivalent terminology. That part in each human being is the constant. We're not here just for this one life. We are on our development towards perfection is on a continuum. So this inner consciousness, this divine consciousness, is one and not many. And most of humanity do not realize this unity that exists. And he says, rely on your higher self, this self. And that, he says, gives strength. Persevere, and little by little, new ideals and thought forms will drive out the old ones. What is he telling us? The old form is that I am my name and form, right? Nama, rupa in Sanskrit. But I am not those things. I have them because it is necessary for me to live on earth as a human being. But I do not identify with my body or with my name, because those are not what I am. And he says, once we move from that thinking to the universal aspect of who we are, this internal process continuously is replacing those thoughts with the universal aspects of who we are. What would those be? And we just listed them. These three are necessary aspects to be conducted in daily life. In other words, service to humanity comes first, not service to myself. What am I following? My inner consciousness. In time, he says, this purification process will replace all of these aspects of my life. It will burn it away. And he says, this is mortification of the self. And he puts the self like so, because this is my lower self. What is that called? Personality. So we are crossing it out. We are getting rid of it. That's how you have to look at it. I'm taking that equation out. So in time then, you become the server of the higher aspect of your life. And that is called mortification or tapas.
But the reason I asked is that the word tapas or tapasya, that means meditation in Sanskrit. So that's why I was wondering, what mortification is, because at least Gita, that's what it says, that you need to meditate on God. And that's what tapas is.
Well, you can give it that interpretation because we talked about concentration last week, which was part of this talk. But in this, we're talking about service to humanity and how Krishna in the Gita expresses that in these three, that it is necessary to undertake these. So, culture of concentration is what we talked about last week, which is a necessary part of.
I think the question, my question is there any way to get there other than through meditation? So I think it kind of links it up. With what,
it certainly does. It certainly does link it, because we are constantly told to concentrate on this self, whether you call it God, divinity, higher self, deity, however you want to do it, that's what it is. But in this talk, we're talking about service to humanity and what are the duties that we undertake. If you don't sit at meditation and concentrate on your inner life, you're not likely to get to the self, because those ideals and inner consciousness is awakened by you constantly trying to concentrate on it. But it is put in this way for this talk. But meditation is necessary because we mentioned that the astral body changes, did we not, as a result of meditation, because you need to refine yourself, because the inner voice will not be heard if we are scattered and we hear the vibratory rate that is in the universe, what's going around us. We are not attuned to the voice of the silence, which is this sense, which is this.